Well, billionaire businessman Lindsay Fox is in talks with the Victorian Government to establish a quarantine facility for international travellers at Avalon Airport on the way between Melbourne and Geelong. The plan, endorsed by Geelong-based Deputy Labor leader Richard Marles, would see a temporary town of cabins constructed adjacent to the airport with capacity to house 1,000 travellers. For more on this, I'm joined now from Geelong by the CEO of Avalon Airport, Mr Justin Giddings. Justin, great to have you on the show. Can you take us through what's exactly being proposed here?
So where I'm standing at the moment is airside outside our new international terminal. The proposal is to bring aircraft in just behind me, be able to bring passengers through into the quarantine facility without actually going inside. So the whole process is seamless, and we're looking to set up some cabins, just like you mentioned, with outdoor areas so people can get some fresh air, some sunlight, and even look at the stars.
And when did you first have contact with the Victorian Government about building this facility?
So the most recent proposal was 2 weeks ago. We talked about with universities towards the end of last year, early January, in terms of bringing international students back. But really the progression was in the last couple of weeks. But really it's just at a concept stage at this stage, and we're hoping to develop it over the next couple of weeks as well.
So your discussions, let me be clear, previously they're related to universities, but the only time you've started to discuss this with the government is on the back of this latest outbreak.
Yes, that's right. Well, yeah, probably a week before. So probably the last couple of weeks where we really started to develop it in terms of this greater facility.
And I've got to ask you about the cost here. Any ballpark about what this would cost in terms of the infrastructure build?
Look, we don't know yet, so we're really waiting on a scope of work. So it really will depend on just how large this facility is. It will be expensive, but so is hotel quarantine. But we need to do a lot of services work, we need to get some cabins in, and we need to do it really quickly. So I would imagine there'll be a staged approach. We'll do a smaller facility at the start, and eventually it'll be able to grow over time to hopefully generate a lot of people coming into the facility.
Look, given it's on your property, it's a privately owned airport, are you going to pay for the build and then charge the taxpayer, per head that goes through the facility? Is that the plan?
So we've made the offer of we can provide a site lease, so we can just basically give them the land and they can develop it, or we can do a combination of investing as well. So it's really up for discussion. We haven't had any of those discussions as yet with the state. This is simply trying to get a system that works, that brings people in safely and in a low contact way.
And look, I hasten to even ask this question because it couldn't be hard to be better than the current regime in terms of infection containment. But clearly, if you operate an international airport, you understand all the protocols of people coming in, all the custom rules and regulations. But are you confident you could do a better job at Avalon than they can do here in Melbourne?
I'm not sure about a better job, but I think it'll just be a different environment. So firstly, everyone will be able to have access to outside. The interaction with the workers at the quarantine facility can be done outside. So there's no hallways, there's no opening doors and leaving food outside. And the cabins are all self-contained. So they'll have cooking facilities in there, they'll have toilets in there, they'll have washing facilities in there. And so really, the resident would be expected to look after the premises just like their own house. And all the interaction would be outside in the open air.
Just a quick one before we go, Justin. Would you be looking at a model that co-located the workers out there on site to lessen the infection risk?
I think that's an absolutely good idea. Of course, that's a matter for the government and the workers' willingness to do that. But certainly, we've got a lot of land. We've got 1,700 hectares of land to play with, and we could easily set up a worker accommodation where they could come and just transfers back and forth, so they're not going back out in the community. But again, that's an offer, but that's just a matter for the government to decide.
All right, and just before we go, what's the sort of time frame? When have the government said to you that they, I presume there'll be a public tender for this sort of process, all the I's dotted, T's crossed. What's the time frame on this?
So from the get-go, when we get told to go, We reckon that it's going to take 2 months or so to be able to get the first cabins in, and that'll build up over time. We've got a series of meetings scheduled over the next week or so. We've just done those today, and no doubt we're hoping to get the go as soon as possible. But I know there is a tender process. I know that there are other people, like Tullamarine Airport is looking at it as well, and there are some other facilities.
Yeah.
So it's not a thing that we're definitely going to do this, but we're prepared to go through that process.
All right, sounds promising. Anything's better than where we are now. Justin Giddings, thank you for your time.